Penn State a 35-16 winner over Michigan State. The Lions now have 10 wins in the regular season for the first time since 2019. That's Sean Fitz, Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickel from Blue White Illustrated. Sean, start with you. I mean, it was an interesting game. I think the final score maybe doesn't quite reflect what we saw out here for four quarters, but Penn State made Michigan State turnovers costly, and it hurt him big time.
Just a weird game, and actually the first turnover didn't hurt them at all. Jake Pinegar missed the first of two field goals, which of course set Penn State back. Didn't get a score. Slow start, fast finish for the Nittany Lions. They of course turned a late interception by Kalen King into a big touchdown for KeAdnre Lambert-Smith to make that difference much bigger. But it was really all over the place. Penn State went up 14-0 and allowed a field goal before halftime, got a touchdown, so you thought maybe they were about to turn the wheels on and things were going to go, but it just kept coming. Michigan State made plays on the outside, did the things that they had to do to keep it close, but Penn State just was the deeper team, and by the end you saw the score line, which was right in line with what Vegas predicted. So it's tough to nail this one down. It's been a tough November to evaluate because Indiana bad, Rutgers bad, Maryland bad. I think I got those out of order. Right. And Michigan State, the best team they played in November, but what does that say? Because they're a 5-7 football team. So you'll take the win. You'll take the 10-win season, certainly. New Year's 6 in the balance. Citrus Bowl still a possibility. But there's a lot to question about this team, and I think that's what we'll spend the next couple of months going back and forth on that.
Certainly at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Nate, yeah, go ahead. Go. You just run with it. I'm not even going to set you up. Just run with it.
Look, we crush these guys every single year for losing a game that they shouldn't, right? Like every single year is just a topic of conversation through James Franklin's tenure, and so I think there's something to be said. Like, they're still in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's FPI, I did all the numbers this week, and so now it's in the top of my head. The Big Ten has 10 teams in the top 50 of the ESPN FPI. They have 7 in the top 31. Like, this is not a bad league, comparatively speaking, on an analytical scale. And so, yes, Michigan State has had a hard time winning games, but has largely been competitive for the good part of the season. And so when it comes to what happened out here, I'm like, hey, the fourth down call was ballsy. Like it's a gutsy call to make that call to win the game the way that they did. People and their reactions feel to me as though it's like Penn State should be repenting for not playing better in this game. But I don't see it that way. I think that the way that they soaked this up, being able to win and get to 10 wins this season, it's an accomplishment. Like it's a good thing historically. It's a good thing for Penn State football to have been able to do.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too, Sean. This is not a team that has.
Yes, Sean.
Well, no,
that's a good point.
Yeah, I was going to say they've dealt with injuries. Obviously, they had Joey Porter Jr. back today. Yeah, I mean they had Joey Porter Jr. back today. Obviously, he was on a pitch count, or at least it seemed that way. But you're talking about a November where the offensive line was not really a problem, and it wasn't. It was a few times on this day, but by and large, I mean they're playing with what, 5 guys, and that's all they have for the most part, and they were able to get through it.
Yeah, I mean you got to credit the offensive line, who is clearly a banged up unit that's playing a bunch of backups and things like that. But you know they've done more than I think we expect them to do as a whole this season. So you give them credit. You give credit to the guys that are stepping up. You mentioned Joey Porter started but did not play a ton. Kalen King was absolutely awesome today. Fantastic, like an all Big Ten level performance. Ended up getting that pick at the end. KeAdnre Lambert-Smith. We were wondering who would step up without Parker Washington. He did it. He threw a touchdown pass to Theo Johnson, and he got that big touchdown that essentially put it out of reach for Penn State. So guys have stepped up. Younger guys that have eligibility left. You always talk about the end of the season, what kind of springboard you can provide to the next season, because we're always looking ahead, unfortunately. But you had some guys step up in that. To Nate's point, you're right. You're absolutely right. Every win is worth celebrating. But you look at the combined record of these last 4 games, and you see that Penn State in the college football playoff standings that has not moved the needle. You would have liked to see Penn State go out in this game and win by a larger margin, and they put themselves in position to do that. Missed 2 field goals by Jake Pinegar. They had some drives run out on them, and some plays just did not come together. So I think that's probably what we take away from this. The fact that Penn State probably showed that it was the much better team, and the scoreboard didn't completely show that. Did a nice job being resilient, coming back with that 21-16 lead, and just blew them out of the water from there. But I think, you know, there's questions. This college football, it's an imperfect game.
Yeah, Nate, I'll throw it to you for final thoughts. Obviously, we'll be waiting to see where Penn State goes in a bowl game. We won't find that out until next Sunday at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. But final thoughts as we wrap up the regular season one last time here at Beaver Stadium.
Yeah, I think it's a flawed team. This is a flawed Penn State football team, but the things Sean Clifford is who he is, okay? And that was a big factor in today's game, as was the offensive line that we already talked about. Yeah, they're banged up, and it shows. Like, it shows. He's under pressure constantly. And even when he's not under pressure, he still acts like he is. And so I think that that's one of the problems that you see. The receiver depth is an issue. KeAdnre Lambert-Smith stepped up, and that's great for KeAdnre Lambert-Smith, but on the whole, the totality of the game, I don't think anybody's saying that the receivers blew everybody away, especially when Michigan State had just highlight reel catch after highlight reel catch. I mean, it's kind of crazy for, I think Penn State's defense had an awesome game, right? Abdul Carter had an unbelievable game, and Penn State's secondary had an unbelievable game, and yet because of the phenomenalness of some of those receptions that Michigan State made, they were in that game later than I think that they would have been otherwise. So, no, 10-2. Credit where it's due. I mean, I don't think anybody said that, and I understand things change through the course of the season in terms of expectations, but hey, they did it. They did it. They got the 10 wins. We'll see what happens in this stupid bowl system. But anyway.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Sean, any final thoughts?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, it's interesting to watch the career as Sean Clifford plays catch with his little brother Liam behind us, to think of the legacy that he's leaving behind. I know Penn State fans ready to move on, and I get it. But that's been a guy that's put a lot into this program, and you know, he deserved the applause that he got for senior day, the applause that he got at the end of the game, and things like that. But it's going to be a complicated legacy because he was here so long, and there was so much that he could put on tape, and at the same time, he's going to finish his career with a 10-2 regular season. That's
Sean Fitz. That's Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickel. BlueWhiteIllustrated.com for the latest Penn State news and notes. We'll be back on Sunday and the rest of the next week with the breakdown of the Penn State football program, get into recruiting and the transfer portal, and like I said, we'll do it all at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. We will catch you next time.